Hello, everyone. Looks like a bunch of you have jumped on. So I decided I was going to jump on just a little bit early. I think I'm about a minute early. I've got 6:29 here. For those of you who are just finding me, my name is Sarah Simon. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Appleton, Wisconsin. Hello, Mary and Sandy and Denise and Betty. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I do have three cards this week. On Sunday, my mom was talking to me and she's like, "Now, have you started your cards for Tuesday so you don't have to be up all night Monday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get to it." And I did actually. On Sunday, I made two of the cards. And then last night, I wanted to make a stamp, ink, and paper only card because I didn't have one yet. But I wanted it to be kind of a wow card as well to show you that you don't have to have a die cutting machine to make a wow card. And so I used the dies from one of the stamp set for one of my cards. And so for this one, I ended up using the stamps and they have dies to go with them, but I didn't use any of the dies. I just used the stamp, but then the mechanism of the card is what kind of makes it a wow card. So I'm excited to share that with you. Bonus days are over. Yesterday was the last day, but now you can start cashing in on those $5 off. Now, some of you on here are demonstrators, and just a reminder that you can start ordering from the holiday catalog starting at 4 o'clock a.m. our time tomorrow morning. You have pre-order, and pre-order means you can order anything that's in that catalog. Um, you can see the catalog online. It hasn't been shipped to us yet, but you can see it on the demonstrator website and you can place an order there. Hello, Nancy. For those of you who are not demonstrators that are watching me, if you would like to get your hands on one of those catalogs at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning or whenever I wake up, I will be placing my order and I will be getting some of those catalogs. So if you would like, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator or you know you don't get a catalog, let me know. I have to say, this holiday catalog, oh my goodness. Kathy Miller and I met because we're planning some things together, and we decided there's no way both of us can buy all the things that we like. So we kind of were going to divide up some of the things, and she'll buy this and I'll buy that. And then when we have our classes, we'll like borrow each other's things because it gets way too expensive when you want to buy something to make one card in a class. And so we decided we were going to do that. Hello, Gian and Gwen. I think Nancy, I said hello, but if I didn't, hello, Nancy. Um, so yeah, I'm so excited for you guys to see it. For you, the catalog goes live for all of the customers in September. So you will want to get your hands on that catalog so you can go through it and see all of the fabulous things, and then try to limit yourself as to what you can purchase. Okay, Betty, I will put you down for a catalog. I will for sure get that to you. Hello, Sandy. So I wanted to start with some happy mail that I received. So I received this thank you note in the mail. Look at that. That's that fractured or faux shutter. It's called Both Things that we did a couple weeks ago with my card challenge. This was from Michelle Jones, and she was thanking me for a prize that she won. And then look at this beautiful card as well. I love these dies from that. I think they're called like Dainty Daisies or something. I can't even remember if that's what it's called, but Delicate Daisies. I don't know, but the dies in there are just absolutely beautiful. And Karen, I think I've been pronouncing your name wrong all this time. I don't know if I see you on here or not. So it's Karste, and you said it's pronounced with a long E at the end. So Karsti, if that's how it's pronounced, or if it is it Kirsty. I'm not sure if the A is long and the E is long. I'm not sure. So I apologize. I've been pronouncing your name wrong. She said that she cased this card from Pinterest. It was made by Tara Beth Stamps. And she was thanking me because she won the week that we did the One Sheet Wonder. She won that whole combination of cards. So thank you for these beautiful cards. These are such inspiration to me as well. As you know, I have made some of mine off of cards that I get. Um, Hi, Melanie. Oh, you couldn't comment. Well, I'm glad you came back in and it worked for you. Sometimes YouTube and Facebook just can drive you crazy, right? Now for some prizes. Receiving the cards that we made last week. So we made this card with the designer paper, and we used some of that gone fishing stamp or paper, and then there was one of the stamps in there. But yeah, that was a really easy card, fast. And then we made the pocket card. Okay, so you pull this out and your greeting is in there. You could also attach a gift card or something to that as well. And I do have matching envelopes to go with both of these. So receiving these for commenting last week is Sandy. Sandy, I see you on here, but I have no idea how to pronounce your last name. It's Zdun. So is the Z silent or is the D silent or do you pronounce them together like Zdun? I don't know if that's right or not, but I need your address, Sandy, because I don't think you've ever won before. So if you could send me in a private email or private message on Facebook, your address, I will get these cards in the mail to you this week. So anytime you make a comment, what I do is I put your name and you all get assigned a number. I do a random number pick and the computer picks a number and whoever's name is by that number wins that prize that I'm doing. And so you can get a prize for commenting or sharing. So make sure if you do share that you mark it right in the comments that you shared so that I know, because sometimes Facebook and YouTube will tell me who shared, and sometimes because of the privacy settings, they will not. And so it's really, really important that you write down that you shared so that you can get entered into the drawing. So receiving a spool of this, what is this called? Wavy trim, which I absolutely love. I don't know if I have lighting in there good enough for you to really see this, but it's kind of like a, oh, I don't know how to describe it, but it's got like this little weave in the trim. So receiving this for sharing last week is Tammy Litsky. So Tammy, I will get this in the mail to you, and I do have your address. Hello, Cheryl from California. I'm sure it's a lot warmer there than it is here. Today was actually a pretty nice day. It wasn't overly hot. I was freezing in my office. I have long sleeves on today. It's lightweight long sleeves, but I swear yesterday I thought I was an ice cube by the time I left. And I had like a sweater that I could throw on, but I was still cold. I'm like, holy cow, you can turn the air, you can raise the temperature a little bit. But I think it's for the working crew. So we've got the people who are cleaning and stuff. And I'm sure when they're shampooing carpets and they're washing down all the walls and desks and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure that it's really hot for them. So I'm sure that's why they do it. So anyhow, that is all we have for prizes. What else is new in the Stamping Up world? Not much that I can think of. Just the bonus days you can cash in and the holiday catalog coming up. So I'm wanting Lost Lagoon ribbon. Oh, Melanie, is it on back order? Um, I I just got some the other day. So is it on back order or you want to use that as a prize? Because I do have an extra spool of that I could probably do as a prize next week. Okay, I think that's all I have for announcements. I think I'm going to flip and but I don't have coordinating all the things. Oh, gotcha. Okay, I am going to flip and we are going to start stamping because the cards are like take that long, but I want to make sure that I don't take up too much of your time, but that you get inspired by something that I'm making tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and come to my phone. I'm going to get my mouse out of the way here. You don't need to see that. I think I'm going to start with the one card that doesn't coordinate with the same bundle. So the next two cards use the same bundle, but this first card uses some of our online exclusives that we have. So right now, Stampin' Up! Does have some Christmas stuff that you can actually get. This designer series paper, look at this. So on one side, it's all like winter scenes. that you can stamp right on these, or you can add punches over the top of them. You can make really nice fun folds. I think this one's flipped the wrong way. Yep, look at that. There's a little deer in there. So it's all these beautiful winter scenes that you can, cut apart, stamp on, use parts of it. And then the back, let me get rid of this. Look at all of these are little patterns that you could really use anywhere. You wouldn't have to use them for Christmas cards. So this is an online exclusive. It's called One Horse Open Sleigh. There is a stamp set with a sleigh and horses. I honestly did not get that. For some reason, I just could not. Um, Zidane. Okay, I think that I pronounced that correctly now, Sandy. Thank you. Um, or is it Zidane? Zidane. Maybe it's Zidane with saying the word letter Z. Okay, so anyway, you can get these right now. It's an online exclusive. I was not like really thinking Christmas stuff. I wanted to wait until I saw the holiday catalog to see if the sleigh set was one that I felt I needed to get, or if there was something else in the holiday catalog that I liked better. And so I don't have the sleigh, but I did order this bundle, Trekking Along. And so I'm going to use some of this background paper that isn't the Christmas stuff with my card today. And the punch is on back order. It is coming back. Okay. So it's out right now. It is coming back in October, like the middle of October. I know that seems like a really long time away, but tonight I'm going to show you, I'm not going to use the punch for my card. I'm going to show you that you can make some really cool cards even without, and there's bad, there we go. That's a little bit better shadow. There you are can make cards without having to use the punch as well. I did want to show you a little bit of how the punch works. So all these different pieces, like what are those things? So you have your truck, and then what I did was I cut out the little window. So this little window's here. So you can stamp it and then you can turn it around and you can put it in your paper and you can cut the window out from your stamped image. If you are going to cut it out from the die, I would suggest cutting this part out first and then putting the truck in, because it's really hard to get your truck in there and line that up afterwards. And then there's this little round thing, which is the wheels. And then the thing that looks like kind of like a U, those are kind of like your, I don't know, do they call that a hubcap or it's just like the thing that covers your wheels. So this would go here, and then this would go over the top of that, like so. So you could make yourself a truck. So you don't have to have the stamps. You could play with just the punch. You could, tonight, we're going to play with just the stamps. And we're not going to use the punch. I just wanted to show you how the punch works. And you can put both of them together as well. What's really cool about this stamp set is there's a lot of different things that you can put in the back of the truck. So there's a tree here. This has like a surfboard and a ball and a tree. This has, we're going to use presents tonight. We're going to make a birthday card, kind of a masculine birthday card. There's these 3 pots of flowers. There's some little daisies. You have the kind of like the side rails of the truck, and then you can make a background scene. There's trees that you can put in the background. There's ground for your truck. There are clouds. This little farm fresh fits right in on the door here, so it could be that you're advertising on your truck, and then it's got a bunch of different greetings that go with it too. So a very cute set. That the stamp set is still available. It's just the punch that's out right now. Okay, so we're gonna do a pretty easy fun fold with this. And again, I'm not gonna use the punch tonight, but you definitely could use the punch on this card, and you could make the background a little bit more dramatic, I guess, or more detailed than what I'm going to be making it. So we're going to be starting with black, basic black, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 2 1/8 and at 4 1/4. The stamp has highlights on the fenders. Yeah, it does. It has like little white, there's like an opening. Like I can show you when we stamp it. It is really cool. Oh, a yellow truck. So that I bet you would do yours yellow. We're gonna do red today, Denise. So this is our card base. Then we have some of the paper. So like this is what it looks like on the back. Very wintry. Actually, it would go this way. The trees would go the correct way. We are just going to use kind of the red. That looks cool. And then I've got that measures 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, by the way. And then this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I did run it through that embossing folder that kind of has the um, I don't know what you call it. There's like little lines in it, kind of looks like a hatch. That's going to be the embossing folder. And then this piece of white is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. This I die cut out from the largest square in the stylish shapes. I don't know why this is getting blurry all of a sudden. Maybe I'm too close. And then this is a 3 by 3 inch square. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. We are going to take our 2 white pieces and we're going to do something with those. And I'm going to set this other stuff aside while we work with these. So this is going to be the outside of my card and this is going to be the inside. So I'm going to start with the Memento ink and I'm probably going to have to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. So the one that has the stitching that I die cut, I found that it was easier to start with my greeting along the bottom so that I could get it as far down to the bottom and I didn't accidentally start the ground where I couldn't fit this in. So this is just going to say special delivery and I'm lining up the special to make that straight with the bottom and the delivery is going to kind of be on an angle. Okay, on the inside, it's a special delivery, and we're going to just say happy birthday. So this stamp, happy birthday, is from a different set, and I'm going to move it up to the top. Well, I did it more centered than I wanted, but it's up a little bit to the top, so there's a place for me to sign on the bottom. All right, then I'm going to bring in some crumb cake ink. And there's a little, I told you that there was the little road. This is my little road stamp. And I'm going to stamp it off to the left first. And then I flipped it over and lined it up. Whoops, I didn't line that up very well. Let's do that over. So we have two sides. I know that the stitch is a little bit backwards on it, but let's see if we can line it up a little better. Part of my problem is I'm looking over my phone when I'm doing this. And so I can't completely see what I'm doing. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I'm happier with that. Okay, this one, the road kind of was broken. So we're going to go with the back where it's together. That's all I need the crumb cake for, so I'm going to close that. Then I'm going to do all my outlines, I think, first. So I'm going to take the outline of my truck and I'm going to do that in Memento ink. And I want to make sure that my wheels are touching the road. We're not going to be flying through the road. We want it to be touching the road. I'm also going to take the outline of the gifts. And again, I'm going to kind of overshoot it a little bit lower to make sure my gifts aren't floating. I want to make sure that they're on the back of the truck there. It would look kind of funny if they were floating. And I think, and I have the wheels. So this is a black, these are the wheels. And so I'm going to line this up. I'm going to get the two centers going. And if I get the two centers going, then my wheels should also line up there. So I'm coloring those in with that. That's all I need with my Memento. Do you know, I'm going to tell you a funny story. I've been stamping for 20 some years. Memento has been around for I don't know how long. Do you know that I always thought it was Momento, Momento? It wasn't until like about 6 months ago that I realized it's Memento. Oh my goodness. Crazy. I guess you just don't pay attention to things like that and you just look at it and you look at it really fast And I just thought, oh, Memento ink. Memento. Okay, now with this stamp, I'm going to let you know you have to be a little careful with the window. If you press too hard, you might get stuff in the center of the window. But you do have this little punch. If you had your punch, you could always cut that out if you wanted to. But I'm putting mine behind black, so that would kind of look funny. I would have to put some white or something behind it. So I'm just going to be really careful. And this is, I think, what she was talking about the highlights for the in the stamp where you can see the little lines. So I lined up this little part right here, believe it or not, and my fenders when I was lining this up to stamp it. And again, remember, I'm looking over a camera when I'm doing this. So hopefully, oh, it looks pretty good. All right, so there's our truck. And then to make life really easy for us, they also have where you can color in your presents so you can make all your gifts match and you don't have to do it with a Stampin' Blend. There's a little stamp that you can line up the ribbon, and just like that, I have the presents decorated. Hi, Mary. Okay, and then I just wanted to add something a little bit more to this. So I thought it needed maybe just a few clouds in the sky. So there's a little cloud. Now there's an outline and there's an fill. I decided just to use the fill, and I'm using Pool Party, and I'm just stamping off once to make it just a little bit lighter. I'm just adding a few of those. And I thought it would be fun to add some of those to the inside. Whoops, I got something on there. There we go. Okay, so we've got some of our clouds to the inside. I didn't want to bring anything else. You could put the presents down in the corner if you wanted to. So if you wanted to stamp those down there, there was hardly any room to write. So I thought that this was fine, leaving it just kind of the way it is right now. I'm going to get my ink out of the way, and we are ready. Put these back in my bucket here. We're ready to put this card together, which you're probably looking at it going, I know exactly how she's going to put this together. It's pretty, it's a pretty common fun fold. It's folded not just in half, it just has this little piece going back that we will pull open, and our little truck will come with it. So I'm going to put the designer paper that's from that online exclusive paper. I'm going to just set that in this side section here. Right, and then we can go ahead and put this emboss. Now you could use any embossing folder that you wanted. I'm going to show you one that I made in blue that is in my card buffet for this month. And so I thought I would show you that one, and that I just decided that's why Sunday was really easy to make my cards. I'm like, okay, I just made all these cards for my card buffet. I'm just going to use some of them, and I'm just going to do some of them in a different color. So this is kind of backwards. It's on the wrong side. The stitch marks are the opposite way, but there's still stitch marks there, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay, and then I'm going to add this to the front with some dimensionals. So I'm going to put 2 dimensionals on the left-hand side is what I like to do. And then my other 2 dimensionals I like to put right up to my fold, because I don't know how far to put them over here, and I don't want them to go over where they need to be. So I just set them right up to where that crease is. And then I know that I'm getting them up to the edge. Okay, and I'm going to stand up, make sure I get this straight. I just bumped my camera a little bit, so I'm sorry if it moved. Hopefully it's still kind of straight. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then this happy birthday is going to go on the inside. So to make sure that I have it so that it's covered, what I like to do is to line it up on my square that's there. And then I will put some liquid glue on it. And then I want to hold it there so that I get it where I want it to be. And then I'm going to just close this. Okay, so now it's for sure covering that. Now sometimes it can be a little bit crooked, so then I just straighten it up a little bit. That's what liquid glue is for. You have a little bit of wiggle room. But oh shoot. There we go. I'm back again. Sorry about that. I didn't even notice. I'm sitting here talking. I don't know how long I was gone, but this was a little bit crooked. And so because I used liquid glue, I'm able to lift it up a little bit, straighten it so that it was completely straight, and then push it back over so that it covers, the black covers that. So there is our first card, a nice masculine birthday card. And we can add a little red to the outside of our envelope just to carry that inside. Now, the one that I made in blue, I used our designer series paper that goes with all of our color families. And I went to go grab the red and the real red because I wanted to do this in real red because like I said, my other one was in blue. And I realized that I don't have the regals. I had the brights, I had the subtles, I had the neutrals, I had the in colors for one group and the in colors for the other group. And the only pack that I was missing was the regals, and real red is in the regals. So I'm like, okay, I got to find another designer paper that I want to use. And I was going through this and I'm like, oh, that works perfect. I love that there's just a little bit of white in there. I don't even know how to describe what this looked like. It almost looks like a red jeans material in person. So there is my first card using the Trucking Along stamp set. So I didn't use the punch because you can't get the punch right now. So I wanted to show you can do things without it. Here is my card for my card buffet that uses boho blue, and then it has crushed curry for the presents. And again, it looks pretty similar to the other one. Instead of black, I used crumb cake, and instead of that little hatchet embossing folder, I used the time worn type back here. And so I was looking for the red paper that looked like this with the lines in it. But like I said, I didn't have the regals. So I did the next best thing. So we've got a blue truck and we have a red truck for a nice masculine birthday card. All right, so that is card number one. Pretty simple, right? Wait till you see card number two. Card number two and card number three, I am using the same stamp set or bundle, I should say. And in one of them, I'm using just the stamps, and the other one, I'm using just the dies. If you came on late, I mentioned that I wanted to do a card that was just stamp, ink, and paper because I didn't have one that was like that. So I decided that what I wanted to do was do a stamp, ink, and paper that had a little bit of wow to it. So the inside of this card is using some 6x6 designer series paper. So I'm using this gingham paper that we have, and this is the Berry Burst. And this is 6x6. And I'm going to show you how you have to score this for this design. So I'm going to go to 6-inch and score, or I'm sorry, 3 inches and score that, and 3 inches, score the other way, and then along one of the diagonals. So I'm going to line in corner here, corner there. Make sure I'm in the corners. And then I'm going to score that. So again, the scoring blade is the one that's lighter. And I'm going to put that away. Now, if you do not have a trimmer where you can score, you can just go ahead, you could just go ahead and line these up. So I could line this up and just fold this in half. Okay, and I'm going to fold this in half. Okay, and I like to, for this card, I've done this before, I like to fold it in both directions to make it a little more, I guess, pliable so that you can pull with it where you want. And then the diagonal is this one right here. Whoops. Yeah. And again, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to go back with it. Okay, I want this piece, this checkered, the bigger gingham to be showing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fold these in. So I'm folding them in like this so that these two outer pieces where that diagonal, it's going to be, the diagonal is going to be horizontal. I'm going to pull those in together and they're going to come into the center of that diamond that's down there. And then I'm going to put this down and then give that a good burnish all the way around. Anyone know what we're making by folding it this way? Anyone have an idea already what we're going to do with this? I haven't made one of these cards. Oh gosh, I think it's been a couple of years since I made a card like this. So I know I haven't done it on a Facebook Live yet. So if you think you have an idea what we're going to do with that, let me know. Okay, I have to find, here it is, my scrap paper. Okay, so I've got my scrap paper again. I'm going to bring in and show you the other dimensions. So we're going to be taking this berry burst and we're going to be combining it with some lemon lime twist. Again, I went heavy on looking at my color coach to try to figure out what colors I wanted. For the next card, I did the same thing. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4.25, and that's berry burst. I'm sorry, lemon lime twist. I have some berry burst. That's 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. I know some of you don't like eighths of an inch. I'm sorry. I just like to have a very little border and not a real big one. So this is 3.25 by 4.5. Okay, and then I've got two squares that measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Anyone know what we're doing yet? I don't see any guesses in here yet as to what we might be doing. Let's see. That's all I have in here. Okay, so we are going to be using, thought I threw the stamp set in here so I could show you the stamp set in the bundle. Let's see. Where did I put it? I thought I put it right in the bucket with this, but I might have taken it out for the dies last night because I'm cutting for a stamp or a card buffet this weekend. I do not see it here. I do kind of have a mess right now, I'm not going to lie. Let's see if it is out here. Here it is. I had it out to cut last night. Okay, Textured Floral is the name of the stamp set. And it has, oh yes, Carol is guessing, it's an exploding card. It is. So this is the Textured Floral. And we are going to be using in this card just the stamps and not the dies. So the dies, you can cut out all of those flowers, so the flowers that we're going to be using. And then it has these little extra dies. And in our second card, that's not a stamp, ink, and paper, we are going to be using these other dies. So these will cut out the flowers. So if you wanted to layer the flowers, you could. I'm not going to actually layer them. I am going to just stamp them on this paper to make a pretty decoration of flowers, I guess is what you could call it. All right, so I'm actually going to start with, and I'm going to stamp on these as well. These are going to be the inside of my card. Well, I'm looking to see. It's like I thought that one sold out. Which one sold out? Does it say currently unavailable? This stamp set, Textured Floral, sold out. This is in the annual catalog, so it might be on back order, but it would come back in once it will come back since it shows in the store. Yes. Anytime it says that, it shows that it's in the store and it doesn't, if it doesn't show up in the store, that means you can't buy it anymore. If it shows up in the store and it says it's unavailable, it means it's coming back. All right. Good. Thank you for all of you who are answering questions that I'm missing. All right. I'm going to start with Berry Burst. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with stamping everything on here, and then we'll worry about our two little pieces. So with the Berry Burst, I decided I wanted to use this really big floral image that's in there. Got to get it out of my container. And I'm just going to stamp that. I want to have room to be able to put some greens underneath it. So I'm going to stamp it about right there. Doesn't matter where. Okay, and I forgot that what I wanted to really do was start with my greeting. So birthday blooms for you. So we're going to have a masculine birthday on our first card, and we'll have a more feminine one in our second one. Okay, so birthday blooms for you. And then I'm going to take, I wanted to take something a little bit darker. So basically what I did was I went with my pinks that I was going to be using, and I have Moody Mauve also somewhere. Oh, here it is. It's in the bucket. Just can't, it's hidden by something. So what I did was I kind of went, I have everything in Roy G. Biv rainbow colors in my stamp pads. And all of these that are like more pink, but they're like more of a purple tint or a bluer tint, I guess, to the pink. They're kind of all on one side and they all kind of go together. And so this is my color combination. So it's Berry Burst, Blackberry Bliss, Bubble Bath, Moody Mauve, and then I'm going to pair it with that Lemon Lime Twist. Okay, so I'm going to take the Blackberry Bliss and we're just going to stamp the center of that flower with some Blackberry Bliss. So I don't even know how well you can see that, but we do have a center. Then I'm going to take one of the other floral images that's a little bit smaller, and I'm going to stamp that in Bubble Bath. So I'm going to pull out my Bubble Bath, and I'm going to stamp a couple of those. So I think I'm going to stamp one to the right and one to the left of my floral image here. So I'm going to stamp one down there, and I'm going to stamp one up here, and I'm going to kind of flip them around a little bit so they look a little bit different. Okay, the center of those, I'm going to be using the Moody Mauve. Okay, so I have a little circle for that center, and we're just going to stamp that in there and in there. Okay, so we've got some floral images started in our pinks. And now I wanted to add some greenery to that. So I'm going to leave these open only because I'm going to use them for my inside pieces as well. So with the Lemon Lime Twist, I started with this big leafy image. And I'm going to just kind of stamp this in here. And then I'm going to take this green image that just has some leaves, and I'm going to kind of put a few more greens here and there on here to fill up this side of this kind of corner of the paper. And then the last thing that you hardly even see is I'm going to take these little paint splatters. I'm going to stamp off, and I'm just going to stamp them in a couple of places where I've got a little bit of white yet. Okay, so that is going to be my little image. So I didn't have to cut anything out, and look at how cool that turns out. I'm going to do one more thing to this, but I want to do that when I close up my ink. So remind me if I don't do it. I need to watch that fold again. I will fold it again for you, Linda, so that you can see it. All right. So on these squares, they're going to go on a diagonal like this. So on one of them, I wanted to have a little greeting. So I'm going to use the Berry Burst again. And this is from the something tags. What is that stamp set called? Celebrate with Tags, that I used that. And then there was this greenery that goes with the stamped image. And I'm just going to stamp the greenery along the side. And then in the bubble bath, now this one is a little bit harder to line up. The smaller two at the top are your top. And then the other ones just kind of, let's see if I can get this in here. I found last night that when I did this, it really didn't matter how I stamped it. It still kind of looked good, no matter what I did, where I put it. Okay, so that gives me just a little bit of a floral image on the side. And then on the bottom, I just wanted to have a little bit of the Berry Burst since I did the bubble bath up here. So I took my big stamp again, and I didn't want the whole thing, so it's going to be going like this. I wanted it a little bit off to the side, but I wanted to have enough room that I could write a message. And I'm going to do Blackberry Bliss for the center again. And then I have my green. I can add a little bit there. I can add a little bit up there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close up my ink. I'm done with all of the stamping. So this one again, stamp ink and papers. Don't need, you do not need any dies for this. You don't have to cut anything out. So if you don't have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and you like to keep things simple, this is a great stamp set for that. Okay, what I wanted to do to this is to take my Wink of Stella brush, and I'm going to ink it up so that there's for sure ink coming out of it. So I'm just going to squeeze it, woo, more than I needed. But now that I know it's juicy, you never want to do that over your paper, or I think Kathy mentioned it when she was here. You can have a mess. I'm just going to tap it lightly on my bone folder. And what I'm adding is it looks like my paper is almost like a glitter paper. I need a little bit more. Okay, and I didn't have any sort of a shimmer paper, and I don't think you're going to be able to see that, but this is like shimmering when I'm looking at it, especially from different angles. You can really see the shimmer. Okay, I'm going to fold this over because I don't want to get that on anything. And we are ready to put this together. So Linda asked me if I could show her this fold again. Okay, so again, another key is to make sure you fold it in both directions so that these are really well creased. So I folded that in both directions. I folded this one in half in both directions. And I also folded that diagonal in both directions so that they were really well folded. Okay, my diagonal is right here, and I'm going to have that horizontal. So it's horizontal right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold those so that they come in like so. So they're coming in towards the center, and they're folding out. And these two centers are going to meet at the tip down here. So they're going to meet at the tip, and then I'm just going to fold everything, and it'll be in a square or in a diamond. Drip the Stella on a block to use the glitter, and it won't soak in the paper, and you can use it more. Good idea, Jan. So she's saying take a block, which I don't have an extra block sitting here, but kind of squirt a little bit instead of on this paper, squirt it on a block rather than on the paper, and it doesn't soak into your paper and it's on your block and you can kind of keep reusing it. Good idea. I forget to do that too when you want to do some watercoloring instead of, you know, going like this. This is what I always do is I go like this and I get a little bit of ink at the top and I use that. What you could do instead is to go and ink up a block and use the ink off of that. It saves your pads a little bit too. Okay, let's go ahead and put this fun fold card together. Let me take all these off of here. Okay, I'm going to layer this onto that Berry Burst. I think that when Berry Burst and Lemon Lime Twist were in colors, they were in colors together. I seem to recall using them together before. That is not a new color combination to me. For some reason, I keep thinking that. I don't know if anybody else, I was a demonstrator when both of them were out, but my memory, I'm getting old. And when they say the memory's the first to go, it definitely is. I can't remember. Some things I can remember like it was yesterday, and then other things, it's like, oh, I think that's what it was. I decided this needed to have a little bit of dimension. So I added some dimensionals. Let's see here. I'm going to cut some of these. I'm at the end of a pack. All right, and I'll go ahead and take those all off. You could use your take your pick tool if you have a hard time with picking these off. I have an easier time picking them off with my fingers than I do with the take your pick tool. I just can't get that whole thing down. All right, this I'm going to center on the front. Now, I did have some lemon lime twist ribbon, and I tried it in a couple of different places, and I decided that it just didn't need any ribbon. I'm going to add a few rhinestones when we're done, but that's all that that really needed. Okay, now for this. This is going to get glued inside here in the top and the bottom so that when you open it, your card will explode. Okay, that's why it's called an explosion card. I think somebody said that they thought that's what it was. Okay, so what we need is we need the top and the bottom is going to be our two diamonds that we did. So I'm going to put the greeting up on the top part. This is one of those wow cards. You look at the outside and you're like, oh, that's pretty. And then you open it and you're like, oh, wow. That's what I mean by a wow card. All right. And like I said, I did a card like this maybe about 2 years ago, and I haven't done one since. So all of a sudden, when I was trying to think of something to do, I think that the reason it came to me is I think it was a stamp set that was similar to this that looked kind of like a watercolor that I did it with the last time. And so I decided to just redo that. Okay, so I want to make sure that my top is on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this. Actually, I'm going to put glue on the back first. Okay, make sure my top is the way it's supposed to go. Can you tell I've done this the wrong way before? I'm triple checking. Okay, so my tips are going to go, I have to go right up to that crease, and I want to center it right and left as best I can. Okay, and it should go all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm just going to add some glue to this and then close my card. Make sure I give that a good press and let it dry a little bit. And now when I open it, that's my wow. Okay, so birthday blooms for you. Let's celebrate you. And then you can sign and add a little greeting there to the bottom yet. Okay, so that's just kind of a fun way to, now notice I didn't have to do any die cutting. Everything was just cut with a regular trimmer and then just regularly stamped. And if you didn't have a scoring tool, you could just, it's just a matter of folding it in half one way, folding it in half in one way, and then folding it on one of the diagonals to get your 6x6 piece folded. You can also, if you want to, you can do the hot dog size. You just have to make sure that when you put this in there that it goes all the way. Let me see. My next card is hot dog. And I have, I think, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do berry burst with lemon lime twist, so I have a lemon lime twist one. So if you do your card this way, you want to make sure that this goes up to the top here. And then what's going to happen? So let me fold this. It's going to look like that when it opens. Okay, so if you want to pull it over the top, you just have to make sure you don't want this to be down here. You want it to go all the way up to the top when you do it. Okay, so that is an explosion card. Kind of fun, right? Okay, that is our card number 2. I do have a little bit of that gingham paper to add to our envelope, and a bone folder or something like that to help crease your paper can also help. You just have to be careful with designer series paper. You just want to make sure that you don't tear it. When you do any sort of scoring with designer series paper, because it isn't as thick as our cardstock, it can vary. Whoa, shoot. Okay, this is good. I didn't get anything on there. It wouldn't have been the worst thing if I did that other one, but I just have a little bit of glue on here. I have to take off. I gotta stop talking. Um, I don't even know. Oh, when you score designer series paper, you just have to be a little bit more gentle when you use your scoring tool. Like, don't press real hard like you might with cardstock, because it will easily tear. Um, I tore some the other day when I was scoring something. And I was cutting for at the convent, which is this week, Thursday. I'll have to let you know next week how that goes. Um, we are going to the convent. My aunt is at the convent, and we have 16. I cut for 16 people, and we're going to make 3 cards. So we'll see how that goes. My niece, who's in high school, who needs service hours, is going to come along, and she's going to help, because we found out after one of them required some coloring that many of the nuns shake a lot and they might have a difficult time coloring. So I think my mom, and well, my mom shakes a little bit too, so she won't be a good colorer, but she could do some of the other stuff. But my niece, Lexi, and I will do a lot of the coloring. Okay, so there is our explosion card. Card number 2. All right, let's see here. Let me put some of this away. And let me bring out card number 3. So we're still using this same bundle, but what we're going to use for this next card, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different color combinations for this. I'm going to use these 3 dies that don't belong to any of the stamps. Okay, so we're going to use these. And I decided we had done 2 birthday ones. I was going to do a sympathy card. So this again is one of the cards from my card buffet. I did it in a different color. But when I was looking at those dies, I thought one of them kind of looked like eucalyptus. And to me, Lost Lagoon kind of reminds me of the color of eucalyptus. So I went to my color coach and I'm like, okay, which color combination do I like for what I had in mind? And I really like this Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock, and Calypso Coral. So this is the color combination that I'm going to use. Now I'm going to show you one as well. At first I started out with Mossy Meadow because of the greens. And then as I was making it, I'm like, I just used Mossy Meadow last week. I don't want to use Mossy Meadow again. But that one is going to use Mossy Meadow, Lost Lagoon, and Moody Mauve. So I'll show you that one when we're done. And then the one that I did for my card buffet, again, I got from here, and it uses Bubble Bath, Lemon Lime Twist, and Melon Mambo. So I love this color coach. I printed it. I did have this on my blog, and I do have it somewhere on my Facebook page. If you would like me to add a link to it again, I can do that if you never got a chance to print it. But I just print it. I happen to have all the colors, so that I just glued it once I cut them to a piece of that paper and put it on a ring. So it's really easy for me to kind of see what those colors look like together. All right. Yes, Lost Lagoon for eucalyptus. I agree. Okay. So our card, this is going to be a quick and easy one, I think, because I have a lot of the stuff cut already. And it looks like I forgot to put my dimensions on here. So I will tell you them and then I will also type them up. So this is 11 inches by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And then I have two of the basic whites. This one is just plain. That's going to be my inside. This is 4 by 5 1/4. This one is embossed with it's called exposed brick. And you know what? I think you would maybe be able to see this better if I turned my overhead lights off. Have you been having a lot of shadows? I apologize for that. So this is the exposed brick that I put on there. And then I did, just so you could see another way to decorate your envelopes that's pretty easy. Like I don't have any designer series paper in this, and I really don't have any floral stamps or anything. So I took that embossing folder and I just embossed the flap of the envelope, kind of like how I put designer paper on there. I just embossed it. All right. Mary says she loves her color coach. Yes, it's like the best because I am challenged when it comes to picking out color combinations. Okay, so I used those dyes. And again, the one that kind of looked like eucalyptus, I did in the Lost Lagoon. All right, and then this one that's more of a greenery piece, I did in the Pretty Peacock. And then this one to get a little pop of some color, I did in the Calypso Coral. I also used one of our decorative circles to and punched out this. And I have a scrap of basic white here. And I love this stamp set. Somebody won this. I don't know who won it a couple weeks ago. This has to be one of my favorite stamp sets. If you want to do a card really quick and easy, and you just want to have like a nice big greeting that's going to be a focal point, and you don't want to have to mess with a whole bunch. I almost used one of the stamps from here too. That's a little bit bigger, but I thought this was big enough for in that corner. But this with Sympathy is super, super easy, and it fits inside of a 2-inch circle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp it using my Lost Lagoon ink. And I'm going to come in with my 2-inch circle punch. And I'm going to center that up. And look at how perfect that fits in there. Now, if you wanted to, you could take that little paint speckled and you could add like a little bit of the Calypso coral around it. I always overdo it when I do stuff like that. So sometimes it's better for me just to keep my hands off of it. I'm going to keep this ink out because on the inside, I'm going to use a greeting that comes from the seasonal branches. And it says, may you feel sheltered by the love that surrounds you. And I thought that was a beautiful saying when you're sending a sympathy. Okay, so I'm just going to keep that really simple. If you wanted to cut another one of these and glue it down in there, you could. I just decided to leave the inside super simple. All right, so that's all we need to do for this. Now we just have to put this together. Oh, you know what? I forgot the rhinestones on my last card. Let's bring this in here. I said I was going to add some bling, and then I never did. Let's see. Where are my rhinestones? Oh, here they are. They're in that bin. So I'm just going to add, we've got the glimmer going on in here with that Wink of Stella. I'm just going to add, a couple of these in different sizes. Let's see. Put one up there, and we'll maybe put one over here. Okay, just to add a little bit of bling to that one. Sorry about that. I'm going to use these again for this card. So I'm going to keep these here so I don't forget. All right, let's go ahead and burnish this a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside right away since I'm done with that. Whoa, rhinestone stuck to my finger. I couldn't figure out what was stuck to my finger. That's what it was. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue this down on the front as well. But before I do that, I'm going to do something that I like to do. So this is kind of, it's that time-worn type, so it's kind of like a worn, kind of an aged look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is actually one of my snips that's not quite as sharp. You could use a sharp one, but be very, very careful. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rough up the edges a little bit because that kind of goes along with the embossing folder. Now I saw another demonstrator I watched the other day, and she was showing how to use some of those new tools for the Take Your Pick tool. And she did this same thing, and with instead of her scissors, she used the perforator. So there's like a little tool that you can add that you can perforate something. You can wheel it over and perforate it. She used that and ran it across here to rough up the edges of a sheet. You do have to be careful. You don't want to rip it. I think I just stabbed my, oh no, I didn't. I thought I was bleeding that I stabbed myself a little bit. I do that all the time with these snips, but this one's pretty dull. Okay, so that just adds, I don't know how well you can see it, but it looks kind of like a little worn out, which with having the worn kind of type in here and the exposed brick, it kind of looked good with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the front of my card. You can kind of see it a little bit more maybe when it's on the, you kind of see how it's worn there. Right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to layer these. So I'm going to start with the this green one, this pretty peacock one. And I didn't put adhesive sheets on these because I found that there were enough big spots in these that I could actually put some glue. And the top ones, I didn't want to glue down. I wanted to kind of keep them a little bit freer so it looks like they're kind of off the paper a little bit. You could also use some tape if you wanted to, some Scotch tape down on the bottom. I'm just going to set that about right there. So this one's open a little bit, so it's kind of hanging off so it doesn't look like it's completely glued down. Then I took the eucalyptus. I think that's what this looks like. Does anyone else think this looks like eucalyptus? I thought it did. That's why I thought it had to be Lost Lagoon because I'm like, that looks way too much like eucalyptus. One year when I was moderator for the prom planning, the kids we had these um, really elegant gold chandeliers at the country club where we have the dinner and dance. And it just didn't go with our theme. Our theme was a garden theme. So they hired this place and we took and we hung eucalyptus over all of those big chandeliers to kind of make it look like the eucalyptus was like hanging from the ceiling, kind of. It looked really cool, but holy cow, was that a mess when we were cleaning up afterwards. I was like, why did we do this? The people from the floral place came and set it all up for us, but at midnight when the dance was over, we had to take everything down because they needed the country club for something else in the morning. And so we had to take all of that stuff down. So we're climbing up on ladders and having to take all of it down. Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. Okay, see why I wanted to kind of leave some of this hanging up because it is kind of overlapping a little bit, and you can then, I can like tuck some of these over and in, and I can kind of readjust that as needed. All right, then I'm going to add this circle to our decorative circle with Sympathy. I think I moved it a little bit because, you know, it gives you wiggle room when you want it, but sometimes it does when you don't. All right. So this is going to go here. But before we do that, that Lost Lagoon ribbon that I can't remember who it was that said that they wanted the Lost Lagoon ribbon. We're going to take some of that. And just like I did a couple weeks ago we're going to make a faux bow to go behind this. Hopefully I cut enough ribbon. I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Let's see. Do I have enough? Not quite. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So I'll use this for something else. It will not go to waste. We need it actually for one of the cards at the convent, and they don't need as much. So I'll use this for that. I'll throw it in with all of my ribbon so that it gets to the convent. I wanted to make the bow I wanted to stick out just a little bit more than it was sticking out. Let's see if that's better. Okay, that's a little bit better. I don't want it too big, but I want it big enough so that I can see it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this, and so that I don't have a big knot that I have to put my paper over, I'm just going to lay this flat like this in my faux bow and just take a little bit of tape and tape that down. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and I'll trim that end a little bit. Okay, it's a nice way to be able to add ribbon without having the bulkiness of a knot. And then this I'm going to put up on some dimensionals. I think I have another pack here. Yeah, there we go. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the top of my ribbon and the bottom of my ribbon because I don't want the dimensional to be on my ribbon or it's going to be really like all different layers. So I'm going to put it that way. I'm going to stand up so I can center this. Okay, so just super simple with sympathy. I don't think sympathy cards have to be overly, like where they take you a ton of time. I think something real simple like this is really pretty. And then we can just add a few rhinestones here and there to just add a little bit to this. So I'm going to put one down there. I think it came off my putty. We'll add one there and maybe a little one up in there. Okay, so this color combination from my color coach, I got it from the color coach, is Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock, and Calypso Coral. Right here is another one with more earth tones. This one is Mossy Meadow. I put a little layer of crumb cake because of the ribbon that I chose to use on this. But this is the Lost Lagoon and Moody Mauve, one of the new ones. And the embossing folder is that Fern 3D embossing folder that I did on the back of that one. And then my third one, I can take this out of the envelope. This one is Bubble Bath. And I used the weaved cane weave. And then this is Bubble Bath, Melon Mambo, and Lemon Lime Twist with some of that Bubble Bath ribbon. And I don't have anything on the inside because I have it on the back so I can put it in an envelope and here are my dimensions so that I know what I have to cut when I go to cut for these for my card buffet. And then they know what goes on the inside of their card. So this is what it looks like. So those are our cards for tonight with a couple of other color combinations for you to see with the same card. And again, I embossed. You can kind of see that that's embossed to go with this card. So we've got that card with the Sympathy that uses all the dies, but not the stamps from that stamp set. We have our Explosion card that uses all the stamps. So this is a SIP, stamps, ink and paper, but look at it, has a wow factor because of the fold. And then we had our Trucking Along. Okay, and I think the stamp set is still available. I think it's just the punch that's out, but I could be wrong. I have to admit, I have not looked in a couple of days to see what is out and what is in. I have a hard time keeping up with my job right now. With the start of school, it's a little, every day I go there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get all this stuff done. And then I leave the day and I'm like, Oh, my list is still as long, or I've added things to it that I have to get done before school starts. So those are our cards for tonight. Let me go ahead and come back to you. Here I am. All right. So I plan to be live again next week, Tuesday. Let me think real quick. Yeah, Wednesday I'm going to a Brewer game. We get to sit in a box too. So if it's a really, really hot day and we're too hot sitting out there, we can go into the box and it's air conditioned. Isn't that nice? My mom and dad are bringing me and my mom's friend Mary to a Brewer game. So I'm excited about that. But Tuesday, I think I can be live. I don't think I have anything going on Tuesday. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do for when school starts, when the summer's over. I know I have always done Saturday mornings, but I also do my card buffets on Saturday mornings, and I'm going to be in Lansing, Michigan one Saturday at a workshop or like a retreat. And so I feel like there's more Saturdays that I end up having to cancel. So I might just keep it on Tuesdays. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I figure people can always go back and they can watch it at another time if they need to. So I think that's all I have. I felt like I was going to say something else and I don't remember what it was. So it must not have been too important. I hope it wasn't very important. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I love my Tuesday nights with you. I hope that you will join me again next Tuesday. I'm going to try to work tonight on, oh, I know what I was going to say. In Karen's message to me, she had asked if I ever, she's a demonstrator. And so she doesn't purchase from me, which is fine. That's not why I do this. I'm not doing this to try to make people purchase from me. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like, oh, I watched her, so I have to purchase something. This is basically just a free service to all of you. But she asked, is there any way that I could support your business? Do you sell any card classes? Well, here's the thing. To try to keep up with, I do a card buffet in person and I do a card club, and doing all of those keeps me pretty busy. And my customers like to have where I have a wide variety of, so there's not a stamp set that's repeated in a card buffet. So if they don't like the truck, there's something else for them to pick. And then if they don't like the truck in my card club, there's at least 5 other cards that they have to make. I guess I would consider, I don't like to do like 5 cards that I have to make all with one set because I won't be able to use them somewhere else. And so that's why I haven't done any card kits. I'm trying to, what can I take on and actually handle, and what if I added it to it would it probably put me in the hospital with a nervous breakdown. Um, and so I'm trying to balance all that. I really prayed really hard about whether I should do some of the card kits. And actually, Kathy and I even had a little bit of a discussion about that, kind of doing some things together. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but let I'll do some more thinking on that, Karen, and maybe even sell some PDFs because I make a lot of PDFs of the cards that I make. And maybe people could purchase those instead of me always giving everything for free. I could sell some of those as well. But then I have to do all that online banking and stuff. So I don't like having to do all of that too. Let me get that stamp set for you, Julie. I'll grab that so I can get the correct name for you. It's right here. It's one of the cheaper ones in the catalog. It's called Kindest Expressions. Oh, and you can't see it. It looks like this. I'm not on my phone. So it has a thanks so much, which that was the one that I was going to use for this card right here, and just make like a really big thanks so much and put the flowers up here and then put the thanks so much down here. I opted to just use the greeting that was in there. But it has sending sunshine and rainbows, oh happy day, and with sympathy. So some really big greetings that can fill up a card so that you don't have to do a whole lot of other stuff. You can either put a little designer series paper, cut them out with some sort of a die or a punch, and they fill a lot of your card for you. So this is the stamp set that the sympathy is from. The inside greeting for the sympathy is from the seasonal branches. It has a bird, it has a branch, and then it has flower buds. It has let's see, flowers, leaves that you can put on the branches for the different seasons. And that's where I got the greeting that's on the inside. So thanks for asking, because otherwise you're like looking through the catalog and trying to find it, and it gets frustrating. So I'm happy to let you guys know that. I think that's it. I think I need to go grab dinner. I didn't have lunch until like about 3 o'clock because I was going to do lunch and I had to do a conference call with a principal from a different school. And then that went till 12:30. And then I had to get over to the middle school for a meeting at 12:45, and then I had to meet another teacher at 1:30 back at a different campus to get her laptop. And so by the time that was all done, it was almost 3 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, I got to eat my lunch real quick. So I wasn't hungry before my live. So now I think I need to go have some dinner. All right, I'm going to sign off. I hope that I've inspired you to get stamping and get creative. And I will be back again next week. And I think what I might have is a sneak peek from the holiday catalog. How does that sound? If I place my order tomorrow and I do 2-day air, I'll have it by Friday, which means over the weekend I could start crafting with it. So maybe next week I'll surprise you. There's a couple of stamp sets in there that aren't necessarily holiday, and maybe I'll play with those to come up with a birthday or a sympathy or something to get you a little excited about what's to come in the holiday catalog. All right, that's all I have for you. I will be back again next Tuesday. Have a great rest of the week, and try to find a time to be creative. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and have a great week.